Welcome back to the Stacy Carter Coaches Show. I'm your host, Tom Taylor, and again, another great week of Hilltopper football. It's homecoming week here at Science Hill. Of course, Erwin, North Carolina, the Warriors coming into town. We'll talk about that later in the show. Show brought to you by the good folks from Champion Chevrolet, Blue Lizard, Australian Sunscreen, also Chick-fil-A, Bracken Asphalt Maintenance, and also Center Street Wealth Management Group, our buddies Tim Colvin and Greg Taylor and Wells Fargo. And as a matter of fact, we're sitting outside the Topper Nation Center of Excellence by Blue Lizard, Australian Sunscreen, one of our great sponsors. And Coach Carter, what a wild Friday down in the Bradley Central. The bus and the ride and the football game, and there's just all kinds of excitement. And at the end of the night, we get ourselves a hard-fought, well-deserved victory and head on back to Johnson City.
Wild night. You can't make this stuff up. And I know, Tom, you were a part of it. You was on the bus there, so you saw what happened. We had some bus trouble on the way. Got about an hour behind. I think we ate at Cracker Barrel in and out in about 35 minutes, which it was awesome what they did and to get us back on track. And then we get to Bradley Central and have to walk about a half mile down to the field and have to stay down there after we get down there. And it was, played a great football team down there, hot down there. It was kind of locked in a hole there, and it was a very hot day, so very muggy. And but didn't play good on certain areas. He's still making a lot of mistakes, but you can't say enough about the will to win and how our kids are fighting. I mean, if we can get those things straight, we're going to be a real good football team because we got a heck of a will to win, and the guys are, they're laying it down for us, and that's what you want. I mean, more than anything, because you can't teach that, and the guys are really ready to play. Of course, after the game, had heated emotions and a little altercation there, and nothing significant or anything like that. But the game ended kind of crazy, and then we come up in the locker room. Had some things took and missing when you come up there, which happens in school environment. It happens here. It happens everywhere. But put all those things together, plus a 3-hour drive down there, a 3-hour drive back. Got here about 3 o'clock in the morning. Back home. I don't think I got in bed till 4 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. So. Definitely it's a big trip. It's different for us. First time experience and having to go for a conference game 3 hours. Don't like it, and I don't know if we'll ever like something like that. But that's the system we're in right now. But great to have a great win and to get out there with a win against a great football team.
Before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about the Cracker Barrel. You don't know this, but when I went in with the kids, apparently they feed a lot of teams there at this particular Cracker Barrel we went to, and they were very complimentary to the Science Hill kids. They said, these guys, in fact, one of the checkout girls said, man, these guys mean business. She said, and they're so well behaved and well mannered. So I don't know what they're used to in the past, but our guys went in, conducted themselves in a gentlemanly manner, and sit down and wolfed down the food and got back on the bus. But I want you to know, and the Hilltopper fans to know, that our kids represented Johnson City and Science Hill well down there to a bunch of strangers, employees of Cracker Barrel.
No, that's important. I think anytime they go out, they are representing. Some we always say they're representing something bigger than them, and it's and to get out there, and that's important to get out in the community, different communities, and show respect. And I'm glad they did that. And we got a bunch of good kids. We really do. We're on them all the time to do this right on the football field and stuff. But they're good kids. They're young men that are getting better every day. And they are young men because they're going to do some stupid things every once in a while. But as a whole, we're just trying to get these guys ready for life and try to get them to, be good, respectful men and go out in our society and do great things. And we think we got a lot of them on track, and some of them we're still fighting to get that way, but we're going to try to get as many as we can on that right track.
Absolutely. Talking to Coach Carter again, the Coaches Show. Before we go to the break, you win this game on the road, the conference opener. Of course, everybody knows the wins will count when we get ready for the playoffs later at the end of the season. So I guess this is a silly question, but how big was this win for our program Friday night going down to Bradley Central on the road in the conference and getting us a W?
Well, when you circle a few games of the year, that you had to win, that you knew was going to be a tough game. Bradley Central, Maryville, Hardin Valley. I mean, they were right up there on the list. I mean, that you got these new teams that you're facing that you need to get those wins, and Bradley Central was the first one. So, and we knew from last year with their quarterback returning and a lot of starters returning, and and they're kind of they're up and coming, and the quarterback as good as anybody will see, probably good as anybody in the state. So we knew this was an important game, so it's big for us to get this opener in a conference.
We come back after the break. The highlights, you'll see that we made this quarterback, who's a very good one, as Coach said. We made him look, I wouldn't say average, but he didn't look as good as I thought he was going to look because our defense was on him all night long. Our defense was lights out. We'll talk more about that. And our offense clicked when we needed to, too. Got a big road win. We'll come back and talk about it right after this as you're watching the Stacy Carter Coaches Show.
Trucks, 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 and more trucks. At Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, we have Silverado trucks everywhere with discounts up to $11,000 off MSRP on select Silverado All-Star Crew Cabs. 15 Spark, $10,995. 15 Sonic, $12,995. 15 Track, $17,995. 15 Equinox, $20,995. Shop us online 24/7 and don't forget our Saturday service hours. Champion Chevrolet on the Motor Mile in Johnson City, where they leave you asking, how do they do that?
Whether lying on the beach, just working in your yard, or watching NASCAR racing this weekend in Bristol, your skin needs protection from the harmful effects of the sun. Blue Lizard Sunscreen delivers broad-spectrum SPF 30-plus protection that comes with smart bottle technology. Our bottle changes colors in the presence of UV rays, reminding you to cover up. It's the brand most recommended by pharmacists and dermatologists nationwide. Plus, it's made right here in the Tri-Cities. Blue Lizard Sunscreen. We've got you covered.
Right? Leave that guy?
Get free coffee all February long. Just ask for a cup of our hot or iced coffee.
Welcome back to the Stacy Carter Coaches Show. I'm your host, Tom Taylor. Don't forget, coming up, homecoming. We'll talk more about Erwin, North Carolina later on in the show, which is the opponent this week for homecoming 2015. Coaches, get started with the highlights back at Bradley Central from a week ago. And again, we talk about the Copeland kid. He was 10 for 17. The numbers I read coming into the game, he's a little bit better than that. Our defense really, I felt like, stymied him to a point. And, our first two touchdown scores, the first one we're about to see here, was off the defense. Tolley and Mathis combined to strip the ball and get a touchdown and kind of got their offense kind of off kilter, looked like to me, and kind of set this play up for us.
Well, I mean, we had a decent drive at the first, and we moved it down. Then we got a good punt off. We got a good punt, and we backed them up. And I think it was one thing our defense did better than last year. He ran the ball very well for us, very elusive, got away from us, and we were able to take that away. And our guys our closing speed was a lot better. Got after him. He wasn't able to make plays with his feet like he was last year. And I think that that really helped our defense. By our defense being stronger, you could tell that immediately off the bat. Where he made those plays with his feet, he couldn't make those plays with his feet because he had to do throwing it. The fumble, Bryson's always around the ball. I mean, I think he had 18 tackles. I don't know what he had this week, but last week he had 18 tackles. He's always around the ball, and Elijah being right there, very opportunistic, and picked it up there on a just 3 or 4 yard line and just running in, which and I think that was. Our special teams played well to get that punt right there. Our offense drove it pretty decent, and then we got that score on defense, and that was big for us to start the game.
Well, let's talk about special teams. And, of course, Friday night it was big because the kickoff returns. Colby Martin averaged 20 yards on these kickoff returns. One of them he brought back for a 31-yard return. That was huge. The snap was more legging. And granted, it was a snap, and that play kind of went crazy. But for him to pick the ball up and even try and attempt to kick it, that told me that the kids, got some savvy about him. So, that part was huge, and then we broke down their special team some as well. We got down, and they got one decent return back, but we were pretty much blanketing them on their kickoff returns too. So our kids really stepped up for the special teams Friday night.
Well, they did. We had those things we got to fix. I mean, some obvious things that we had to fix. But, I think the kickoff returns were probably the biggest thing on special teams. Colby and then Elijah. Colby had about 2 or 3 big returns, and then you have Elijah with that big return too, which, flipped the field position. And, frankly, where our offense was struggling, we needed that. So if you don't have those plays to take up that yardage, and our defense didn't play as well, we would really struggle. So we were having a hard time finding our way on offense. I mean, I'll be honest, I was having a hard time. Having a hard time figuring out, hey, what can we do? And finally, halftime we made some adjustments and found something was work. It's, not what we want to do every time. We ran our quarterback 32 times. That can't happen much, but to find a way to win, we definitely had to dig deep on offense. But our special teams really and defense really helped us win that game Friday night.
Our second highlight is the Elijah Mathis 1-yard touchdown run. Kind of set this one up for us.
Well, our defense playing lights out again. Our defense gave us a short field. I think we got it on a 35, 40-yard line. I mean, and then we were able to come together a pretty good drive. And then we went to it's our three-back set, or actually four when we got everybody back there. Our Carolina set with two tight ends. And, the big thing on that, as you can see on the highlight, is we had a big block by Nakai. I mean, he blew the linebacker up, and Elijah went right in behind him. Probably the best play of the game. I mean, he met the linebacker to hold just like you want him to on isolation, and had a super block to spring him in the end zone.
On Coach Stacy Carter, the Stacy Carter Coaches Show. Again, I'm your host, Tom Taylor, and again, we go to the fourth quarter, and, football gets put on the senior's back, the quarterback, and, you ask him to carry the mail, and he carried the mail, as you said earlier, over 30 carries, and Mr. Bedard did it twice in the second half to get touchdowns for us. The first one being a 1-yard run. Set that one up.
A 1-yard run, we, drove the ball down there, a variety of different things to get down there. And we just run an inside zone, faked it to King, I believe, at that time. And then he just went into the left side there, had a pretty good hole, and had a short run to get a touchdown.
And the last touchdown was kind of interesting because the point after kind of didn't go like we wanted, but it ended up going like we wanted. As Bedard got that 3-yard run, kind of set that one up and then described the point after that it looked like a rugby scrum out there in the middle of the field.
Well, the whole thing, that's when we had the momentum had shifted. We had the punt blunder where they had a 6-yard turnaround where they scored a touchdown. They took the lead. It was time for, a lot of teams would have laid down right there. They had a little bit over 5 minutes left on the clock. We got the ball, went into empty formation. Justin made a couple great passes to Jordan Holly, and then it's a couple great runs to get it down there. We moved it all the way down, and, just a few minutes. Just took it right down the field and set up our bunch formation right at the end to running in for a 1 yard for just a sweep there to our bunch formation, and then we went to extra point, had another blunder on special teams, had a bad snap, and Zach Canada was there, saw the bad snap, picked it up, and had like a rugby scrum, and just had a lot of will too. And that play right there really changed the outcome of the game because they could have kicked a field goal, to tie it there, and he was able to get it in there and barely break the plane, and then fumbled right after that. So it was just a great play for us, and it's showing the will in our team. We got to clean some things up, but we have a lot of will to win, and the guys are always fighting.
Warriors, I'm telling you, they were Warriors down there again in a hostile situation Friday night. Let's set up that final play because they were driving, they being Bradley Central, for the winning touchdown, and they're down on our 9-yard line, and Cameron Burris kind of blew that thing up, and he, along with that other defensive guys on the front wall there defensively, kind of set that play up because Copeland fumbled the ball, clock ran out, we win the game, and everybody's just kind of on that side. I watched them at Bradley Central. They were stunned. They really thought they were going to win that football game, and they were driving to do that. But the Hilltoppers found a way to win.
They definitely did, and everything went against us again. We were on a 50-yard line. We were there. We thought we got the first down on a play. We thought we got a bad spot. It backed us up, and when it backed us up, we were about 4 inches short from the first down. Then we line up. We're letting the clock. We want to click another 25 seconds off the clock before we snap it because they didn't have much time anyhow. 2 seconds into it, we got a call for illegal procedure, and what we've seen, we can't see anybody move, so they called that. It stopped the clock. It saved in 23 seconds. Put us up 5, and and anybody probably in that situation would punt, but how things were going, we didn't take a chance on it. We went for it. Didn't make it. It was one of the things we rolled the dice, and it didn't work. And had to make a stop. They only had to go 50 yards. They made some good plays, made some good throws to get down there. They were running out of time. They chose to run the ball one time, and I think that's what the plan was, and they were going to spike the ball. Had a decent run jumped up to spike the ball, and when they did, of course you can't tell Darren until you go back and look at the film. He really didn't know what was happening, but he tried to spike it. Cameron Burris got underneath the center,
Yep.
pushed him back,
Surged
and surged him. And the time he grabbed the ball, he fumbled the ball before he was able to spike it, which knocked the ball, 5 or 6 yards back, and it was kicking around. They finally recovered it, but by that time they couldn't get up and get another play, and the game was over.
Game was over. Big 66, again, when he snapped that ball, he hit their guy so hard, he drove him into the quarterback, and he dropped the ball trying to spike it, and ball's bouncing around, as Coach said, and the clock expires, and Hilltoppers get on the bus and come back home. Again, a champion, you go down and win that kind of game, that kind of environment, that can only make you a better football team.
Well, exactly. I mean, anytime that you can go in that kind of environment and the will to win is there. I mean, as coaches, we're trying to clean things up. We want to see the big picture. We want to make sure that, we're coming down and the teams that you face, we got some teams on our schedule that, and it's going to get better as we go. I mean, we know that. So we got to make sure we clean it up, but you can't put that will to win in them, and they definitely have. I'll say something about Justin Bedard. I mean, he put it on his shoulders. Had to carry the ball 32 times. We didn't want to do that, but I mean, what a tough kid. I mean, what a tough kid. I mean, he did what we had to do to win that game. And what I told him the other day, I said I didn't want to run yet much, but I think he was hurting them. They weren't hurting him. So I mean, it was. I mean, the will to win was unbelievable from him and the other kids. But this is a great performance out of him, and I'm real proud of him for that performance.
Absolutely. He punished those guys when he runs that football, no question. Before we go to the break, our players of the game last week, Don Shepard and I, of course, we were down there to call the game here on livestream.com. We chose, because they earned it, Bedard on the offensive side, and we chose Colby Martin on the defensive side with his special teams, the kickoff returns we alluded to earlier in the show, and also his interception, and kid was everywhere. So those two gentlemen, because of the Kermit Tipton group, we present hats each week to an offensive and defensive player of the game on behalf of the Kermit Tipton group here at Science Hill, and very proud to do that, I might add. And so this week we chose Justin Bedard and Colby Martin, and they were happy guys. We presented those hats to them the other day before practice, and they all grinned because we bring all the team around, and I kind of talk about the nominees, and then here's who wins it, and these kids enjoy that. So kudos to the Kermit Tipton group for doing that.
No, that's very nice, and what those guys do for us is amazing. And Harry Gibson, who chaired the our weight room committee, and it just those guys do a lot for us. They do. Now the kids, I always said something about Justin, but kind of Colby's coming out party. That was he's playing everywhere for us. He's doing great things on offense, doing great things on defense, and now special teams. So without his play, we wouldn't have won that game, and he had a big night, and it was good to see him have that good night.
And before we go to the break, again, we got to give props to the Topper Nation. You had a good crowd down there, made that travel down through Knoxville Labor Day weekend and a long drive, and they were there, and they were very very boisterous. Folks knew that the Topper Nation was there, and I thought that really helped the kids because they were very vocal up there in the stands.
They definitely were. We didn't. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot. You would if we were here. It's a 3-hour drive, but they, the fans got into it, and they're supporting these boys, and we have to have that on those big long road trips.
And the ones who were there made lots of noise, and it helped the boys as the 12th man for our football team. That really would make you proud if you're a Hilltopper fan, because they went down in a tough place and won a big football game. We'll take a break, come right back. We'll switch gears. We're back home behind us this weekend, and this Friday night we got Erwin, North Carolina. The Warriors are coming to town for homecoming. We'll talk about that. And again, a non-conference week in the Big East Conference. Who's playing where? All that and more coming up on the Stacy Carter Coaches Show.
Discover the difference with Bracken Paving.
Come on now, we can start today. We'll find a way to make it better. Pick up the pace and work together. Come on now.
Call the professionals at Bracken for your next paving project. 423-323-8197. Discover the difference with Bracken Paving.
Back with the Stacy Carter Coaches Show. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you listening and watching each week. We come out with a new show every week promoting the Science Hill Hilltopper football team. That this week in 6A, the polls are out. We are fourth in the state with a victory over Bradley Central, which is quite an honor for this football team, to say the least. So we just keep getting better, and that's the name of the game, as the coach said earlier in the show. Here are the standings of the Big East Conference. We hit into action. It is a non-conference Friday coming up. We'll tell you who's playing where in just a moment. Maryville, Science Hill, Dobbinsville, and Hardin Valley are all 1-0 in the conference. And then Bearden, Bradley Central, obviously. Jefferson County and William Blount are 0-1 in the Big East. So that's the standings right now. Maryville 3-0, Science Hill 2-0, Dobbinsville at 2-1, Hardin Valley at 1-1 right now. Bearden and Bradley Central and Jefferson County overall I should say, are 2-1, and William Blount is 1-2. But then again in conference, Maryville, Science Hill, Dobbinsville and Hardin Valley are all 1-0 in the Big East. It is a non-conference week. Of course, we are going to be hosting Erwin, North Carolina. We'll talk about that in a moment. Dobbinsville goes to Sevier County. Maryville takes on Alcoa Friday night. Jefferson County travels to Morristown West. The Bearden Bulldogs will host one of their big rivals, the Farragut Admirals in Knoxville. Bradley Central takes on Cleveland. William Blount will take on one of their big rivals, going to Heritage, which is the big county rival there in Blount County. And Hardin Valley plays at South Doyle. And, Coach, the fourth-ranked Hilltoppers come home for homecoming, and they'll take on Erwin, North Carolina. First, I got to ask the question. We do this every year. Homecoming, distractions. It's good for the kids. Memory-making week for homecoming, but can be a distraction for your football team. So homecoming, I guess it is what it is, right?
It is, but, I think we do a good job with it, and we do not let our, football players participate in the homecoming, halftime activities or anything like that. We think they got enough on them anyhow, and but they take part of it during the week and stuff, and then Friday we got to get down to business, and I think our kids are going to be ready to play. It's good to have a home game, especially I like that long travel, 6 hours traveling plus a broke down bus, so it's a good time to be home and not have to make that travel. And this is a new thing for us. Coach Sexton's bringing over his team from Erwin, North Carolina. We do have some Coach Cody actually coached him in high school, and that's how we got that game. And he's like they're really close and things, and they've done a good job there, splitting with AC Reynolds last year, which is one of the powerhouses in North Carolina. So we better be ready to play, but this is a new thing for us. Don't know much about them, just other than a couple films we got on them, and they don't know a whole lot about us, so it should be exciting.
Be like two heavyweights out there in the first couple of rounds, just kind of going at each other, kind of feeling each other out, and kind of settle into a game plan. But I guarantee he's watched a lot of film on this football team. You're talking about the road. The next three are basically here and around here. We have, of course, Erwin, North Carolina this week, Maryville in here next week, and then the following week we don't go too far traveling. Go down the road to Gray to battle Daniel Boone. So not much travel for the next 2 or 3 weeks, which is a good thing. And so, and behind us, of course, the outstanding Kermit Tipton Stadium and Steve Spurrier Field. And I would anticipate it being rocking on Friday night with Erwin coming to town for homecoming. And the game plan, or not necessarily the game plan, I guess, but what do you see as far as watching tape about this football team from North Carolina?
Well, they like to throw it. I mean, that's the first thing you think. They, a lot of athletes, a lot of guys playing both ways, kind of like ours sometimes, and especially their skill guys. But, they'll put it in the air. I think we looked at some stats right before the show, and it looks like they're probably more run than our pass, but, they like to put it in the air. And guy throws quick, a lot of empty formations, and they're going to take their chances, downfield and quick throws, hard to sack the kid. And, defensively, they run a 3-4, get a lot of people in the box. It's maybe it's almost like a 50, kind of similar to what we run. So you're going to see that type of defense. So, we don't know a lot about them, and just know they didn't have a very good game last week. But, they play some real good teams. I think they played a state championship team from Georgia, and a close game there. Beat the team that had beat Davy Crockett a couple weeks before, and I think they're supposed to be a pretty good football team. So that's about all we know about and we're going to find out a lot more Friday. But it's new. It's new. It's exciting. It's just right across the mountain, but you don't know much about actual teams. Me personally, I don't think I've ever played a team out of the state. So this is a new territory for me also.
So it is home and away. Next year we'll go there, right?
Yes, we definitely will.
Yeah, so the flip-flop, so the 2-year schedule, so got them here, and next year we'll travel to North Carolina with Topper Football 2016. What you tell me every week when we start talking about keys is like, and you said it last week, and I assume it's this week too, we just got to focus on what we're doing and what our game plan is and just let everything else take care of itself, right?
Well, we definitely do, and I think if you look the last 2 weeks, there is some things that we got to clean up. I mean, I had over 100-yard penalties both games. I mean, eventually that's going to catch up to you. We know the blunders on special teams. That we had 2 block punts or snaps over the head that gave one team on a 3-yard line, and then one resulted in a 6-yard turnaround touchdown. You can't have those things, so you got to clear that up. We got some things on offense that just not clicking. We're close, and a lot closer than people think. If you're watching from the stands, I mean, you see, well, it's just a train wreck sometimes. But then when you see, hey, one guy missed here, one guy there, everybody's got to do their job. I mean, and get that done and do it all at the same time. So you got different people. Sometimes it's the offensive lineman, sometimes it's the backs not doing their job, sometimes the receivers not doing their job, and it's all of us. And sometimes the coaches not doing what we're supposed to do. And I don't think I had a great plan. I think we adjusted pretty well what we had to do, but we're trying to change things, simplify things, and make it better where we can have better execution.
That's the name of the game, to get better each week, because the ultimate goal is get into those playoffs and win a state championship. And each week's a building block. As of this week, it's the Urban North Carolina Warriors. We'll go on the air with the broadcast at 7 o'clock on livestream.com, audio cast. We're ready to go with that. Just simply type in Tom Taylor Productions, and there we'll be. And, of course, we'll kick it off at 7:30. Homecoming, the great band here at Science Hill will be out in full force, and it's going to be a festive night. A little bit cooler. Looks like we're going to have a little cool front coming in, and it's going to be a little bit more fall-like. And, hey, it's September, it's supposed to be a little cooler, so should be a great setting Friday night right behind us here for a great football game.
It should be, and we're glad it's cooler. I mean, that was kind of ridiculous hot last Friday. Went through a lot of adversity last Friday. I'm glad we're going 3 weeks around even we got 2 home games, and then we got go to Boone too. So we're around the Tri-Cities here anyhow in Washington County. Keep it all in Washington County for the next 3 weeks. And, we need to get some rest, and travel does mean a lot. So I think it's a good time in the season to have this.
See you Friday night.
Thank you.
Go Toppers.
Go Toppers.
Love this guy. Tell you what, it's a fun team to call. I told the boys the other day, I've been doing this for a long time, and I can't think of a team all the years I've been doing this that showed more heart and grit and guts in a tough situation to will themselves, as Coach said, will themselves a way to win that football game Friday night. So if you're not on the Hilltopper bandwagon, you should be. These guys are fun to watch. They're certainly fun to call, and can't wait to do that with our broadcast team on Friday night for Homecoming 2015. I'm your host, Tom Taylor. Again, thanks for giving us a listen. New show next week. And on behalf of Robert Keller, producer, and of course, our buddy and big fan of this man right here, Stacy Carter, I'm Tom Taylor, again, the host of the Stacy Carter Coaches Show. We'll see you next week. And as always, we'll tell you, win or lose, be a good sport. Song, everybody.